Hi, so we're at question number 9, and I'm going to send a couple, I think I have a couple more videos I'm going to make today for people that I see some new subscribers. Sorry, I'm stuttering over my words. It's been a crazy day. So I think I'm going to do a video to welcome them and explain a little bit about what we have going on. But right now, we're going to talk about question number 9, which was support structures. Are you starting to build a support system and have you been getting phone numbers? I think was the question. And of course, there won't, in this environment, there's unlikely to be an exchange of phone numbers. However, if y'all meet each other and you feel comfortable doing that, of course, you certainly should do so. Support system brings me into conversations about personal care and wellness wheel structures. And I think we'll expand on wellness a bit in the future. Not necessarily through this particular video, but playlist-wise, I think there'll be some other conversations about that because I do have some stuff still that I want to bring that I mentioned. I just haven't figured out how to get it onto that tab where you can put pictures and type stuff. But I'll figure it out eventually. I don't give up that easily. Anyway, so personal care. This was a big deal in my life because I was taught that is selfish. To want to make yourself a priority, to do something and to have dreams about things you want to do, to set big, huge, lofty goals. I was taught that those things are selfish and self-centered and wrong, and that I should not do that. That makes me a selfish person. So when I was in college, and this was not very long ago, mind you, we had our ethics chapter. And as part of the ethics chapter, we were talking about personal care. And y'all, I could not get it. I was so locked up that it was selfish and self-centered and wrong to focus on myself for anything like personal care would be defined under. I couldn't do it. The teacher had to restructure. I felt so bad, y'all. The teacher had to restructure the quarter to accommodate the extra time it took to work with me so that I could start to comprehend all of the varying importances of personal care in almost every field of life, but most certainly in the ones I was practicing and learning about. And it was a hard-fought battle, and you've heard me use those words a lot, so there's been a lot of people who have invested in me in was what I call hard-fought battles. And this was one of them, and it was a professor in a public college in a small town, and they absolutely had no obligation to engage with me in the manner and duration in which they did to help me grasp these concepts. But I am eternally grateful that she did, because one of the best things I ever learned from that college education that I don't even have to do this job, though I do appreciate all that it brought to me. But it's not a requirement of the job that I currently hold. So the personal care thing, that's what the support system is. It's very important to take time to focus on yourself and the core of who you are and who you're becoming. Take time to enjoy who you are and cement that identity. Because if you're constantly keeping it on the surface and floating around in your same existence, oh, I learned something new, and then you move on and I learned something new, that file, y'all, my file's blown open, and I've had all that stuff fly away and literally been completely emptied at zero, and had to start completely over, where things I knew, I now have to have brought to me again, because I didn't eat the scroll. I didn't pin it down in the file. I didn't take the time to take those new information about me and bring it to a part of who I really am. I just took it as an interesting piece of information that I could admire and look at and contemplate and ponder, but I didn't take it and own it and bring it into a part of my identity and put it into practice as to who I am. And that's part of the importance of where personal care does, is it takes that time that you're focusing on yourself for under whatever motivation you have or whatever goals you're setting, or it's taking that time to focus on yourself and own that and swallow that scroll about yourself. Own that new information and let it become part of who you are, and practice it, live in it, let it be you, so that you're comfortable with that authenticity. Because until you make it, you can recognize it and work towards it and claim it all you want, but until you're living within it, it's not authentic. And the only way to be living in it is to practice it and know what it feels like and what it tastes like, and when it's sideways and when it's upside down, so that you can fix it. Otherwise, we're going to end up right back where we started, and this painful lessons will be undone. The file folder will have blown open and empty, and you'll be starting back at zero. There's a song by Nako and Medicine for the People. I believe the song is Black as Night. And part of the chorus line is, I am no master, I know nothing. I am a servant, I know something. The I know nothing, that's when your file blows open. And everything you thought you knew is gone. You're now master of nothing. You know nothing, right? That file is blown open. It's a hard place to start over when you already started learning stuff. So take the time, get somebody to talk to where you can bounce ideas off each other and expand each other's abilities to process and accept whatever truths are coming out of each other's life. Whether you do it in the comments section, whether you have somebody in your own life, whether you seek out a professional person to talk to, whether you have a peer in your world, whoever and however that looks. In my life, I haven't had a lot of that kind of support available to me. I previously mentioned that I had some sisters that were sent to me, and one of them, who is I'm blessed to have in my home right now, she's always been one of those people where it didn't matter how crazy my crazy got, she'd just take my crazy and grow it. It's just, the whole family did that. It's part of how it's part of how I survived my own craziness. It was never too crazy. It was just like, okay, baby, we'll go with that one. And that open acceptance and constant acceptance and constant love helped me to accept myself, because that's the only okay place I had. Anything else was isolation, solitude, and invisibility, which is actually far more comfortable for me. This is no denial. I'm getting more comfortable with it, and I practice by watching the videos and sharing them with myself. It's still not comfortable, but I'm getting better with it. It's okay. So I didn't think I would ever get comfortable with it. Sometimes personal care takes on peer support, where you have somebody to talk to, someplace to go, a way to blow off steam. Sometimes personal care takes on introspection, owning new information. Sometimes it's just a matter of being completely detached from anything and going through the motions of something. So that might be something like they've got these adult coloring books, paint by numbers, things where you can kind of work by remote control and focus on something bigger than yourself while you're doing something. Because as creator beings, we function and learn better when we're creating. I mean, you'll get to the point where you start to recognize that eventually. I'm starting to recognize that constantly right now, but because I have never been a very creative person, so these new explorations are interesting to me. So when you're doing things like that while you're focused or meditating or praying, you can find greater introspection, because that's part of creating. It's part of who we are. Sometimes it might involve movement or nature walks or some kind of an exercise where you can be introspective and focused while movement. Oftentimes, some of the best ways of swallowing your own scroll will involve silent communications and movement. Something to consider. Think about when you're your best, when you do your best learning, when you're your most productive. I've come from high intensity backgrounds where I would work double digit hours every day of the week, holidays, weekends, high intensity fields, millions of dollars of money, properties, keys, angry, rich, powerful people constantly knocking on my door. So I'm I function in high intensity fields very well, but I don't do well quiet and still. And so for me, the benefit of personal care was learning how to accept quiet and still. And I find that a lot of females have that problem because we have a lot all the time. Partners, children, jobs, pets, households, hobbies, personal growth, all those kinds of things all at the same time, because we don't separate things in our minds, in our lives. They all run together. So we have a hard time in many cases being quiet and still and just doing nothing. And that was like the beginning of the hardest lessons for me around personal care, was learning not just to focus on doing something for myself, learning how to be with myself. Are you your friend? Do you like yourself? Do you enjoy your own company? Can you stand the thoughts in your own head? Do you enjoy the reflection you see in the mirror every day? Those are just a few things to consider when thinking about things to do with personal care and quiet time. I have a very kind and generous neighbor who takes care of my yard for me, and he has chosen right now, again, to make his presence known. So I'm going to shorten this video up and go check out what I said and visit some more later. Think about things that you can do to support yourself. Being isolated and solitary does not necessarily mean being lonely. There's a difference. Are you lonely or are you isolated? More things to think about when designing perspective. He approaches. I will talk to you later.